In the vast, eternal expanse of the cosmos, a solitary emissary of humanity, Voyager 2 drifts ever farther from Earth. Launched 46 years ago, this ancient explorer was sent to unravel the mysteries of the unknown. For decades, it sent back faint whispers of data, numbers, and patterns that painted a tranquil picture of the deep cosmos. But something changed. A transmission returned. Unlike anything before, a message hidden within the final data that sent shivers down the spines of scientists and sent the world into a frenzy. Voyager 2 had already passed the heliopause, the invisible barrier where the solar wind stops, and true interstellar space begins. At that point, the probe wasn't supposed to encounter anything but dust and emptiness. But that changed on a cold night when a sequence of anomalies arrived at NASA's Deep Space Network. At first, they thought it was a glitch, a sudden spike in plasma wave readings. Unusual, but not impossible. Then it happened again, and each time the signal became more rhythmic, almost intentional. The readings didn't match any known natural event. No solar flare, no galactic interference, and yet Voyager's instruments recorded fluctuations in magnetic fields, ones that pulsed with such structured regularity that even skeptical scientists began to question whether this was just coincidence. The probe had captured something, a movement or signal, precisely timed, precisely spaced, and completely out of place. This wasn't just data. This was a message. As scientists pored over the signal, a disturbing pattern emerged. Hidden within the telemetry was a low-frequency transmission, piggybacked onto the usual scientific data. It wasn't from Voyager itself. This was something foreign, something that had embedded itself in the outgoing stream. When decoded using advanced AI-driven pattern recognition, it revealed a matrix of binary pulses that, when mapped visually, formed spirals, intersecting loops, and fractal sequences. Symbols, not signals, purpose, not randomness. Several experts described it as mathematical graffiti, left intentionally for someone with the tools to read it. And we finally had those tools. For decades, we lacked the computational power to make sense of these anomalies. But now, with quantum-enhanced decoding, we could finally see what had always been hidden. And what we saw suggested that Voyager 2 wasn't alone. Something out there had taken notice, and it wanted us to know the signal wasn't the only clue. Using trajectory data and modeling from the readings, scientists discovered a disturbance, an object hovering roughly 500,000 kilometers from Voyager 2. At that distance, even a small gravitational force would be detectable. But this wasn't gravity. It was motion, self-guided, deliberate motion. The object mirrored the path of Voyager 2 for over 72 hours, adjusting speed with uncanny precision. No natural body behaves that way, not a comet, not a rogue planet, not even space debris. Even more chilling was the fact that this object seemed to respond to Voyager's transmissions. As the probe sent routine data bursts back to Earth, the object altered course slightly, but noticeably, as if it was listening or reacting. The team called it the Watcher, because that's what it did. And the question that haunted everyone wasn't what it was, but why now? Then came the final shock. In one of Voyager's last routine data bursts before its transmitter went silent for maintenance, the Deep Space Network picked up something strange. An echo, not from Voyager, but from somewhere else. The frequency was familiar but distorted, like a reflection in a broken mirror. It mimicked Voyager's pulse but inverted, as if answering in a language we almost understood. Analysts around the world tried to replicate the phenomenon, but it only happened once. A single pulse, a single acknowledgement, and then nothing. silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than any signal, because now we knew something was out there. It had noticed us, it had followed us, and when it spoke, it used our own voice. As researchers dissected every microsecond of that final echo, they noticed something strange. Embedded within the transmission metadata was a timestamp, but it didn't match Voyager 2's internal clock, nor did it correspond to any Earth-based time signature. It was advanced, as if the source of the echo operated on a temporal reference beyond our system, and even more disturbing. When converted using astronomical drift equations, the timestamp pointed not to the present but to a future event, an alignment of Earth, the Moon, and an as-yet unidentified celestial object. This wasn't just a response, it was a marker, a warning, a kind of interstellar countdown to a date no one had predicted. The scientific community split into factions. Some called it an anomaly, a meaningless artifact of digital noise. Others, however, whispered in late-night halls and encrypted messages that this was the first sign of an intelligent, time-aware signal, one that had studied our planet longer than we could imagine. Desperate for answers, NASA authorized a partnership with a quantum AI lab to run Voyager 2's final data stream through next-gen interpretation models. What the AI returned was unexpected. A multi-dimensional data structure that mimicked human DNA, specifically the helix pattern. But the arrangement wasn't biological. It was spatial, a map, a roadmap, suggesting coordinates in interstellar space that lead to an unknown region far beyond our current star charts. This wasn't just a discovery. It was an invitation, or perhaps a challenge. For years, space agencies had warned against broadcasting our position in the universe. Now, for the first time, it appeared something out there had not only found us, but had been watching long enough to send a reply encoded in our own pattern of understanding. And the signal? It ended with what the AI translated as two simple words: not alone. Just when the data analysis seemed to reach a dead end, a French observatory intercepted something startling. Using a deep sky radio array tuned to Voyager's frequency, they caught what appeared to be a shadow transmission, a near-perfect copy of the original Voyager 2 signal, but reversed. The pulses played backward, the data inverted. No human agency had generated it, and Voyager itself was no longer transmitting. Experts soon realized it wasn't just a reflection. It was an echo deliberately crafted to mimic Voyager, almost like a mirror twin or a doppelganger. But the energy signature was alien, denser, sharper, and originating from a sector with no known objects. The fact that it could recreate our technology's outputs so precisely sent chills through the control room. Someone, or something, had learned to speak in our voice and was now testing the limits of our listening. And then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. No more echoes, no more interference. The mysterious object that had mirrored Voyager 2 vanished from scope as if it had never existed. The final signals became quiet, steady, and then silent. It was the calmest moment in the probe's entire history, but it felt wrong, eerily orchestrated. The scientists described it as the eye of a storm that hadn't yet begun. In classified briefings, senior officials discussed preparing for the possibility that Voyager 2 had been intercepted, not destroyed, not damaged, but taken. The probe, they theorized, had been acquired for analysis, or for a message. Something beyond us had noticed our tiny spark in the darkness, and had decided to respond, not with hostility, but with precision, and then retreat, almost as if it was waiting to see how we'd respond next, or worse, waiting for the rest to arrive. For decades, Voyager 2 drifted silently into the abyss, a lone ambassador of Earth carrying our hopes, our curiosity and our naivety on a golden record. We believed it was sending messages into the void. We never truly expected a reply. But now, the final transmission confirmed something we never wanted to confront. We are not alone, and we may never have been. This wasn't noise, it wasn't a malfunction, it was a message, precise, deliberate, and unsettling in its intelligence. The signal didn't just reach us, it studied us, it mirrored us, and then it vanished as if its job was done, as if it had said exactly what it needed to. But in that silence, in that absence lies a chilling truth. Something out there has been watching, waiting, perhaps preparing, and the timestamp embedded within that final message, it doesn't point to the past, it points to what's coming. So now we face a terrifying question. Was Voyager 2's journey ever really ours to control, or was it always part of something far greater, far older, and far beyond anything we were meant to touch? And maybe, just maybe, the next transmission won't come from us. The question now lingers in the hearts of every human being, a question that echoes through the vast silence of the cosmos. Are we ready to listen?